certainly could not script it. And that is the situation. That's the way Group B has finished. Some quick adjustments by the people in the graphics department, but Spain, they top it with a 100% record. Italy will go through as the runners-up from Group B, and Croatia, well, it looks as though they were on their way to the knockout stages, and that late goal has cost them dear. Highly unlikely now that they'll make it through with just 2 points and a pretty poor goal difference. So desperately disappointing for Croatia. It looked as though it was going to be a fairy tale for Luka Modric, having missed the penalty, then scored the goal almost immediately afterwards. But, as we said at the top, somehow the Italians find a way, and they have found a way, and they're through to the knockout stages. Well, Croatia will be keeping a very close eye on Groups C and F, where they still have a possibility a remote possibility, it has to be said, of finishing better than the third-place teams in those groups, but they'll really require an awful lot of results to go their way. Richie, an extraordinary end. I mean, we were all preparing to, I suppose, laud Luka Modric's contribution, and I suppose we still will, but to concede a goal that late, well, they only have themselves to blame, really.
Well, first of all, like, what a brilliant 45 minutes of football. Like, go back to half-time, we were talking about how slow and how low in tempo the first half was, but the impact of the Croatian goal on that second half. Full credit to Italy. They emptied the bench of so many strikers. They did as much as they could, but we were seconds away from sitting here talking about Italy had effort but no real cutting edge. They were blunt in attack, that they couldn't come up with a moment of quality. Seconds away from once again hailing Modric as the difference maker and waxing lyrical about his career. Amazing scenes at the end. Heartbreaking for Croatia, and actually it doesn't really matter now, but I think 3 points probably would have been enough for Italy. Myself and Didi here are going through all the table and looking at the permutations, but it's 2 points is not going to be enough for Croatia.
No, highly unlikely unless there were some very unusual results in the other groups. So I wonder, is it the last we'll see of Luka Modric on the international stage for Croatia? He has made no announcement, as we were saying earlier on. Didi, how much credit would you give to Spalletti in terms of the way he, well, I suppose, had no choice but to throw everything at it to try and get back in the game?
Well, he's responsible for the team, and I think the reaction you showed today, the way they played over the 90 minutes, don't think they would have deserved to lose that game tonight, because they have been the better side over the 90 minutes. And I think they've been absolutely brilliant. And, you know, maybe, you know, we should take that Italy team a little bit more serious. They play Switzerland now, which I think is a game they could win or probably will win. And once in the last 8, we know what they're capable of. And, yeah, they looked a bit toothless up top.
Yeah.
But then again, it was some brilliant goalkeeping and some brilliant defending as well from Croatia. You've got to give them credit for. But, you know, it's just... This is what sport and what football can do in a tournament. With a minute to go, they're through to the last 16. Now they have to wait, which is probably the worst thing. They have to stay in their camp because there's probably still a chance they do go through. As it is, they probably won't. And, yeah, utter joy, one end, and a distraught team on the other end. The only thing I would say, this is maybe something the Croatians will bring up, we had a long injury break last night with that injury to the Hungarian forward Varga. Now, last night we had 10 minutes added on. And the injury time in the tournament so far has never been past 4 or 5 minutes, I think. Now, tonight, yes, there was a penalty check, which took 2 or 3 minutes. But I think 8 minutes was hefty. And this is probably something the Croatian might bring up. Where did he get the 8 minutes from? Because if it was 6, you can argue they'd be in the last 16 now.
Yes,
they can bring it up, but it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't
matter.
It's themselves.
But they are applying different rules from the FIFA competitions to UEFA competitions in terms of how the time added on is accumulated. And 8 minutes is a lot.
All I'm
saying is, if you have 10 minutes last night, where the injury break was at least 5 or 6 minutes, or maybe even 7 minutes, if you've got 10 minutes last night, you can't play on 8 minutes tonight. That's what I'm saying.
No,
if
it's an inconsistency.
lead with that and start complaining about that, I think they won't come across well. They conceded a 96th minute equaliser against Albania. They conceded a 98th minute equaliser against Italy. You look at yourselves in that scenario.
Yeah, they can
I think you
complain all
look
they
at
want,
yourself.
but
Forget the fella who's got the watch.
It won't make any difference, unfortunately, from a Croatian point of view. OK, let's get straight to the key moments from that second half, Richie. And first of all, the award of the penalty to Croatia. Some people felt it was a little bit harsh, but the referee, having reviewed it, he decided, no, it's a penalty.
I think the way the laws are, I think this was going to be given as soon as the referee saw the footage. Fratese's just on the pitch at this point. You can see his arm is up. But in his defence, like when you're moving at that pace and rotating your body, your arm is going to swing. There's a natural momentum to your arm. And unless you do what many defenders do, in fairness, unless you grip your arms together and put them behind the back. Defenders now are coached to defend that way, to avoid a scenario like this. Like, that's the most unnatural position as a defender, is to grasp your hands together behind your back. But that was the only thing that was going to prevent him doing that. It would have been an awful shame if the goal didn't come quickly after that, because it would have been Luka Modric's miss at a penalty, which would have been lingered as the reason that Croatia weren't going to go through. So delighted for him that very quickly he atoned for his error.
While it was a good save by Donnarumma, it wasn't the best penalty that Luka Modric has ever taken.
Yeah, it wasn't a good penalty. It was one of them. If the keeper goes the right way, he saves it.
Yeah.
And that's the sign of a bad penalty. It was a bad penalty. He went the right way, saved it. Donnarumma, as so often for Italy, been the saviour there.
But then, just a minute later or so, to pop up in the right position to be there to clinically finish an opportunity that came his way.
Yeah, and you need to watch Donnarumma's reaction, because this is the ball didn't go out of play, so this is probably 30-40 seconds after he saved the penalty.
Yeah.
Ball comes out to Sucic. We talked about him before the game. What a ball! This is simply outstanding. Puts it in the mix. I think the reason Bastoni doesn't go for it, Ray mentioned it, is because he didn't want to put it in his own net, and he probably thought the forward doesn't get in, doesn't get to the ball. Budimir just come on, gets a foot to it. Another brilliant save by Donnarumma. Look at this. It's going the other way, goes down. He just can't get up quite quick enough. And Modric, after missing the penalty 30-40 seconds before, he was going to say, no, I'm not going to miss one. I'm not going to miss this one as well. And puts it into the roof of the net. And, a brilliant finish, a brilliant move with the cross by Sucic, outstanding save. So this is what football at the highest level is all about.
Didier Deschamps has always said that you win a tournament built on a good defensive performance. And when you look at Italy gradually improving through the tournament, and the performance of Donnarumma in particular, Didi, because his form wasn't great coming into this competition.
No, and his form hasn't been great, and I've been very critical of him, because I've been watching him for Paris a lot, and maybe you should ask whether he can play the Paris games in an Italy shirt, because he seems to be a different goalkeeper for Italy. He's been absolutely outstanding, not only today, but also the first two games. And if you've got a good goalkeeper, or put it this way, you won't win a big tournament with an average goalkeeper. And the reason they won it a few years ago was him. Yeah. And obviously the defence as well. And in this form, it's just set off air to Richie. They play Switzerland now.
Yeah.
And then they play the winners in the quarterfinals. If they go through, they play the winners out of England's group. Now, you may think it sounds daft. I think on tonight's showing, because they get a lot of confidence, score the last minute equaliser, I think they're contenders. I think this is a team in knockout football. Calafiori's done exceptionally well. Obviously, set up that equaliser as well. I think you have to take him serious.
You probably do, but it's extraordinary, Richie. It comes down to almost the last kick of the game to possibly completely transform Italy's tournament.
Yeah, Calafiori does brilliant here. The centre half runs into midfield, drives forward in the box. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 7 or 8 Croatian players. This is an angle of it here. They all kind of swarm towards the ball, defend really narrow, defend the goal, and nobody thinks to go out to Zaccagni. And what a time and a way to score your first international goal. Like a quality of, brilliant quality. Croatian keepers had a really good night, had a really good tournament. Absolutely nothing he could do with that. But seconds away from them sitting there thinking, OK, we need other groups to go our way. Now they're being talked about as contenders.
Quite extraordinary finish to the game in Leipzig this evening.